What is good, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ruffled Bandit and welcome to a brand new video, guys. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I want to talk about, in particular, a brand new leak that just dropped on the Reddit for Rainbow Six Siege. This is suggesting to be a Year 5 Season 2 leak, and I thought we'd go through it, see what it has to say, and just generally break down the information within this post. So if you guys are excited, if you do enjoy the video, make sure to drop a like down below and subscribe. And of course, if you want to look at this information on your own, just feel free to check out the link down below to the Reddit post, as it will be linked at the top. So make sure to check it out there if you want to read it on your own. If you don't want to read it on your own, sit back, relax. I'll be reading through everything, and after I read through all of it, I will be discussing it one step at a time. So let's get started. So first things first, this was posted by Hypix9, so I don't really know if he is a credible source. I have no actual information about that, so keep that in mind. But here's what he says though: Year 5 Season 2 leak. Year 5 Season 2 leak, Operation Hidden Eyes. So that's the name he's suggesting for it. So he says here that the defender is going to be called Feliciwe, which is a South African female character, with the weaponry being a T5 SMG with an ACOG, an ITA-12L, and an RG-15. For armor, it's going to be 3 armor, and speed is going to be 1 speed, so a 3 armor, 1 speed operator. And this is for defense, again, keep that in mind. Gadget would be Smartwire. Now, Barbwire that slows down enemies significantly and does damage over time when moving through it. Immune to melee, marks enemy gadgets that move through the wire. So this to me sounds like, honestly, one of the most insane abilities. But let's continue to the next one, which is the attacker, called Odin. Now, Odin would be from Norway. He's a male character. Weaponry would be a C7E, AK-12, SDP 9mm, and a PMM. It would be a 2 armor, 2 speed operator with the gadget Stealthy Spider Drone. Can climb up walls, ceilings, surfaces, and dig holes through soft walls. Can also fire a charge that will replenish attacker health over time while within the AoE. So you would be a healer slash, I guess, like info gatherer, I guess is the best way to put it. And yeah, let's talk more about the actual abilities here. So let's break this down. First of all, the name being Operation Hidden Eyes. Now, with the newest operation being Void Edge, I honestly wouldn't be surprised if, this is the true name. It doesn't seem like Operation Hidden Eyes is too, ambiguous or unlikely to be real. I mean, let's be honest, it sounds pretty normal in the grand scheme of things, right? It makes sense. Next up, of course, is the female defender for this season, and that would be Feliciwe, who is a South African female character. As for her weapons, I want to talk about those a little bit more in depth. So first up for weapons, you have the T5 SMG with an ACOG. Now, what is the T5 for those of you who do not know? Well, the T5 is the SMG that is used by your boy Legion. Yes, it's the SMG that he's primarily used on his loadout, and it's the one that most people seem to run because it's a pretty well-rounded SMG. But here they are suggesting that this defender is going to have an ACOG on this thing, and I'm really curious to see what that's going to be like, because honestly, I've never really thought about what this gun would look like with an actual ACOG on it. It just doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. It just feels like an odd thing to do, but then again, the weapon design seems to offer the ability for an ACOG to just fit well onto it, so I wouldn't be surprised if it actually ends up happening. The next primary weapon is the ITA-12L. Now, this is the weapon that is used by Mira and Jakal. And I mean, it's an option for them, right, which you can use in your primary slot, which not a lot of people do. The weapon is low on ammo, and overall, just using the shotgun doesn't make a lot of sense on those guys because of the fact that they already have a secondary shotgun, right? Both of them have the secondary, so there's really no reason to run this shoddy. But in fairness, it could be useful here, but if you already have the SMG with an ACOG, it does not make any sense to have to, go down the path of having to use, the shoddy instead. It just doesn't make any sense in my opinion, because you already have a better option there. And finally we have the pistol, which is the RG-15. If you don't know what the RG-15 is, it is basically the weapon that is used by Ella and Zofia. It's the pistol they use, the secondary, and this is the only secondary on this character. And I'm gonna be honest, this is a really strange combo of weapons. I mean, the T5 SMG with an ACOG just in itself sounds pretty insane. like, just honestly sounds pretty nuts. But then add on top of that the RG-15 pistol, which is honestly one of the best pistols in the game, if I'm going to be honest with you. Like, one of the best secondary pistols you can have. It just is pretty solid, very accurate, and good. Like, it hits really well, you know, it's got a good punch. And next up, we have to talk about the armor and speed on this operator. It's a 3 armor, 1 speed, which is pretty self-explanatory. The reason they're doing this is because if they give her an ACOG, right, on an SMG, you know what that means. That means that this is going to be a spawn peeker's dream, right? Like, this is basically another addition to the existing kind of options you have for spawn peekers, right? And who are those nowadays? Well, it's Doc and Rook mainly, right? You don't really spawn peek with other operators unless you just want to kind of have a death wish, or if you're just really, really skilled and really fast, you can usually get the hits if you're using a Jaeger or something like that. I mean, honestly, you can spawn peek with a little bit of everything, but let's be honest, you try to avoid it for the most part because of the fact that the enemies have ACOGs and can just, you know, shoot you from that distance, whereas you have a harder time seeing them and spotting them with your, you know, lower range, you know, hollows and etc. So this is going to be an interesting kind of operator to go against, because not just that, but, you know, she's a 3 armor, so she's going to be able to take quite a few hits. On top of that, she's only 1 speed, so she's going to be quite slow. But on top of that, the gadget's going to be honestly one of the most interesting ones, I think, and one of the ones that I was expecting the most to happen. And what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about the gadget Smart Wire. Now, what is Smart Wire? Well, basically, it's barbed wire that slows down the enemies a significant amount, right? And on top of that, it does damage to the enemies as they move through it. Now, what can we compare that to? Well, it's almost as if we have normal barbed wire, but you electrify it, right? Imagine like electrified barbed wire. That's basically what this is going to work like. But the best part about this barbed wire is that you won't be able to destroy it by simply punching it. As you already know, just punching or slash meleeing rather the, you know, barbed wire in Rainbow Six Siege, the normal barbed wire gets rid of it, right? It simply gets rid of it. That's the, you know, easiest way to get rid of it, really. But then if you want to get rid of it different ways, you have to, you know, blow it up with certain things. Like, you know, you can just blow it up with, I guess, anything that, you know, can just blow it up, I guess. I mean, nades work, right? You can use nades, you can use Ash's breach charges, or just normal breach charges, whatever the hell. You can basically use all these things to blow it up. Zophia's like ability as well can get rid of it. So those are the things that will be destroying this barbed wire and normal barbed wire, right? But simply meleeing this barbed wire will not be possible. And the fact that this barbed wire in as well will like mark enemy gadgets that move through the wire is probably like one of the most unique abilities, I will say. I think it's going to be quite unique because it will give you a good way to know where enemies are coming from. Like if you put barbed wire on, let's say, Cafe Dostoevsky, if you put barbed wire on, like, you know, this barbed wire in particular, this smart wire, if you put it on, let's say, White Stairs, right, and somebody shoves a drone up White Stairs and tries to drone it out and forgets to, for example, like jump up on the railings from the side to get past the barbed wire, you know, you can easily spot straight away where they are. You know, it's going to be super useful. I'm gonna be honest, it's going to be quite a useful operator, as just barbed wire in general is really one of the most useful, like, you know, utilities you can have, because it's enough to just slow people down. But with this, you will do damage to them, they won't be able to destroy it, and they'll have to exert some of their utility to get rid of it, and on top of that, they won't be able to just simply drone through it like there's, you know, no problem whatsoever, right? They'll have to do a lot more than that. And I think mixing her with like a mute, like putting a mute in a position where, you know, it stops the drones, but also like it kind of forces them, you know, hey, if you want to get past this mute, you have to go through the barbed wire. It's going to be really, really interesting. I feel like this is going to be quite a unique operator. Now, next up, though, we have the attacker with my favorite name, Odin. So, Odin, this would be a Norwegian male operator. I'm really surprised, though, they're not doing like a Swedish operator, but they're going for a Norwegian one, which is pretty cool. I mean, we've already heard about this one during the Invitational. We, of course, got to see the roadmap, as well as for the South African female character. We got to see the roadmap for these guys, and as to, you know, what there's going to be about these guys, and like what to expect from them. And guess what? Honestly, this sounds like a pretty cool operator. I mean, he's got a gadget, the Spider, the stealthy spider drone, which can climb up on walls, ceilings, surfaces. I think that's going to be a really unique ability, and it's going to be quite useful, to be honest. As well as the fact that it can drill through like soft walls, that's going to be quite useful to just look through what's on the other side in case, you know, you don't want to push through a certain spot. On top of that, it's also going to be able to fire charges that will replenish attacker's health over time while within the AoE area of that ability. So that in itself is going to be sick. On top of that, he's a 2 armor, 2 speed operator, so he's going to be kind of like in the middle, right down the line, which I think is pretty decent for this kind of operator. And on top of that, what are his weapons? Well, first up is the C7E. Now, the C7E, of course, is the weapon used by only one other operator, Jakal, and it used to be one of the most overpowered weapons in the game back in the day, or I guess not really most overpowered, but it was a very powerful weapon back in the day. It is not as powerful today, I would say. It's still really strong, but, you know, not broken per se, just really strong still. Definitely a really useful weapon. But beyond that, what else does this operator offer? Well, he's got that, then he's also got the AK-12. The AK-12, of course, you can find on operators such as Fuse and previously Recruit, but now Recruit will no longer have the AK-12 as far as I know. But that's one of them. Next up, you have the SDP 9mm pistol, which you will find on Mozzie and Gridlock. And the final weapon being the PMM, which is the pistol you'll find on all of the Russian operators, basically. I think. I'm not sure if all of them have it. I think they all do, but it's besides the point. However, that's basically his kit, and I think the best out of his kit has to be the C7E. It is definitely looking to be the best weapon on this operator, and honestly, when it comes to his drone, I'm wondering if he's going to have only one, or if he's going to have more than one, because let's be fair,